Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're going to present a new lesson. It is one of the lessons that you have in the first year of BAC. This lesson is for all the streams. So as you can see on the screen, so the title of this lesson is the past continuous. And it is one of the important structures that you have to focus on, because we always use the past continuous when we talk or when we speak English. So today, after this presentation, or by the end of this presentation, we will learn about the past continuous, when and how we can use it. We will also practice with the past continuous through different contexts. This lesson is presented to you by Mohammed Saisi from Safi. So let's get started. Great. So as you can see here on the projector, we have two pictures. If I ask you about the pictures, what do you see? For example, in the first picture, I see a boy coming from the outside. And I see a mother or a woman preparing food in the kitchen or at the kitchen. So here we have two events. We have this boy coming from the outside and we have preparing food. Great. But if I ask you about the time of these two events, you will not know, of course. But after reading the statement we have here on the projector, you will know which time we are talking in. So here we have a statement. When I arrived, my mother was preparing dinner. Now you can understand that the two events or the two actions coming from the outside or arriving and preparing dinner are actions that were happened in the past. So here we are talking about two actions in the past. Let's focus on the statements we have here and see the ideas that we can understand from the statement or we can get from the statements. Okay? So as you can see, it is the same statement we have just seen. When I arrived, my mother was preparing dinner. So here, as I told you before, we have two actions or two events. We have arriving and we have preparing dinner. Okay? So what can we understand from this statement? We can understand that the mother started preparing dinner before the boys' arrival and finished after the boys' arrival. So here we have, as you can see, we have an action that started before this action, which is the boys' arrival, and finished after the same action, which is the boys' arrival. So we have an action that started in the past and finished in the past. So it is a long action. It is an action that took a period of time or took a length of time in the past. Okay? We can also understand that preparing dinner was interrupted by the boys' arrival. So here we have the second action, which is preparing dinner. Okay? It is, by the way, it is a long action. And this long action is interrupted, penetrated by the first action as we have here, the boys' arrival. Okay, so let's focus on this statement and dismantle the structure of this statement. So here we have when I arrived, my mother was preparing dinner. Okay, let's focus on the first part. So here we have two parts. We have the first one, okay, which is when I arrived, and the second one, or the second part, which is my mother was preparing dinner. Okay, let's focus on the first one. So here we are talking about an action, which is the boys' arrival. Okay, so this action is a very short action in the past. Here, through this timeline, you can understand or you can see that here we have this action, okay, in the past, as you can see. While the second action, which is preparing dinner, it is a long action, okay? And this action, as you can see, okay, through the timeline that you have there, so you can see that this action is an action that took a period of time in the past. So here we can talk about a long action and a short action, but both of them were happening or were happened in the past. Great. So let's focus on the first action, which is a short action, as you can see. So this action happened in the past. Okay, we're talking about the boy's arrival or the arrival of the boy. Okay, so it is a short action. Okay, and that's why we have the form, the verb plus ed. Okay, when I arrived, here we have the verb to arrive, and the verb to arrive is followed by the form ed, which is the form of the past simple. So you may ask why we have used, okay, or why have we used the past simple? Because we have a short action in the past. Great. Let's see the second action. The second action, as I told you before, it is preparing the dinner. And this action is a long action, as you can see. It is a long action in the past. It is an action that took some time in the past. And here, this action started at a specific time, which is before the boy's arrival, and finished at another specific time in the past, which is the boy's arrival. Okay, so it's a long action. That's why we have used the structure, as you can see over there, the subject, which is the mother, and the verb to be, which is was, plus the verb plus ing form. As you can notice here, both of the actions, the short action and the long action, were happening at the same time. Okay, great. So let's focus on the second structure, or the long action that we have here. So the structure that we have, or the structure that is used to show or to express this long action in the past, is subject plus to be plus the verb plus ing. Okay, this structure is called the past continuous, as we have here. Okay, my mother was preparing dinner when I arrived. So here, as you can see, okay, a subject, verb to be in the past simple, and we have the verb plus the ing form. Okay, which verb, or what is the main verb of this sentence that we have here? It is the verb to prepare. And here, because we have the past continuous, we have to add the ing. So we should use the ing form or the gerund form. Okay, and you may notice that we have the verb to be, and the verb to be is conjugated in the past simple. So subject plus the verb to be in the past simple plus the thing, or plus verb plus ing form. Okay, so this is the structure of the past continuous, as I told you before. But why exactly we use the past continuous? Before we give the usage, before we talk about the use of the past continuous, we have another action, as you can see, and this action is just a short action. It is an action in the past. Okay, it is a short action, but it is used in the past simple. What is the function, or what is the role of this action in this sentence? It is just to determine or to show or to assess when the first action was happened. Okay, so here I can use the past simple to express a long action. Okay, it is a long action happening at a specific moment of interruption in the past. So here we have a moment of interruption. Okay, which moment? It is the moment of the boy's arrival. Okay, at this moment exactly, the mother was preparing dinner, as you can see here. So this is the main use, and of course we have other cases. We're going to see other examples to understand when exactly we use the past continuous. Great. Let's focus on this example, as you have here. Here we have, you were studying when she called. Okay, so here, as you can see, we have two actions. Both of the actions are in the past. Here we have a subject, and we have were, and we have studying. It seems here we have used the form of the past continuous, as you can see. So a subject plus were, which is the past simple of the verb to be. And here we have the thing of which verb it is the verb to study, and we have added the ing. Okay, so here it is the structure of the past continuous. Then we have another action, which is calling. Okay, and this action is just a short action. Why we have used the past continuous? Because this action, which is a long action, was interrupted by another action, which is calling. Okay, so and this action, which is a short action, is used with the past simple. And here we have the past continuous. Let's take another example. Here we have a subject plus was plus watching TV when she called. Okay, there is a long action and there is a short action, and both of them were happening in the past, as you can see here. So here, because this one is long, watching TV is a long action, but when you call someone, it can be a very short action. Okay, so this took some time in the past, okay, and that one took a short time in the past. That's why here we have used this structure, which is the structure of the past continuous tense. As you can see here, we have a subject and we have the verb to be in the past simple. And here we have the being of the verb to watch. Watch, when we add the ing, okay, it becomes watching. Okay, and the second action, which is a short action, of course, must be used in the past simple. That's why we said she called. I was watching TV when she called. Let's take another example. As you can see here, while I was writing the email, the computer suddenly went off. Here also we have two actions, okay, and here we have a long action, okay, in the past, which is writing. Okay, so when you write something, so this action may take a long period of time. That's why here we have used the past continuous, because it is a long action and because this action happened in the past. Okay, and the computer suddenly went off. So this is another action, okay, which was happened at the same time, okay, at which the first action was happened. But the second action is a very short action. That's why it is used in the past simple. And here the verb that we have is the verb to go. Here we have used the past simple of go, which is went. Why went? Because it is an irregular verb. Okay, as you can see here, we have a subject plus the verb to be in the past plus the being of the verb to write. So we have used the past continuous with the first action, and we have used the past simple with the second action. Why this past continuous here? Because this action, which is writing, was interrupted by another action, which is going off. Let's take another example. Last night at 6 p.m. I was eating dinner. So here, as you can see, we have a very specific time at in the past, and here we have a long action. Okay, if you want to talk about a long action that was happening in the past at a very, very specific time, as we have here, so it is better to use the past continuous subject plus the verb to be plus the being. Here we have the verb eat, to eat, so we have to use the gerund form of the verb to eat, which is eating. Okay, so it is a long action at a specific time in the past. Great, let's see this example that we have here. I was studying while he was making dinner. So if you notice, here we have two actions. So the first action is studying and the second action is making. Okay, so both of the actions are long actions in the past, and both of them are happening at the same time, or they are parallel actions. They are happening at the same moment or at the same time, and both of them are long action. And that's why we have used the past simple with the first action, and the past continuous with the first action, and the past continuous with the second action as well. As you can see, okay, so subject plus the verb to be in the past plus being, and there we have subject plus the verb to be in the past simple plus making, which is the gerund form of the verb to make. Okay, if you see the timeline, you will understand that the two actions are happening at the same time or were happening at the same time in the past. Okay, that's why we say that they are parallel actions. Great. Let's take another example. While Ellen was reading, Tim was watching television. Okay, so here also we have two actions. The first action is reading, and the second action is watching. Okay, so both of the action, it is the same case that we have just seen. Here we have two actions. Both of them are long actions in the past. Okay, that's why we have used the past continuous with the first one and the past continuous with the second one. Don't forget that both of the actions are happening or were happening at the same time. She was always coming to class late. Okay, so if you want to understand, or to get the meaning of the statement, you will understand that the statement is used to show that there is a repeated action in the past. Okay, we are talking about an action which was repeated in the past. That's why we have used the adverb always. Okay, she was always coming. So this is another case in which you can use the past continuous to show that the action you are talking about was a repeated action in the past. That's why you use subject plus the verb to be. Here you can insert the adverb always, and you complete the clause, or you complete the structure by adding the last part, which is the wing of the verb. Which verb we have here? It is the verb to come, and when we add the ing, it becomes coming. Great, as you can see here, this is the timeline. You can see that this action was a repeated action in the past. Great, so you know that any tense has three forms. Here we are talking about the positive form, the negative form, and the interrogative form. So let's start first with the positive form. Here, as you can see, we have the subject pronouns. We have I, she, he, it, which are the singular subject pronouns. And here we have you, we, they, that are the plural subject pronouns. So I was working. Here we have the verb to be, and pay attention, we should correctly use the verb to be in the past simple. With I, she, he, and it, we have to use was, and with you, we, and they, we have to use were. Okay, plus the last part, which is the wing or the gerund form of the verb. I was working. Okay, she was, he was, it was working. Okay, you were working, we were working, they were working. Okay, now let's focus on the negative form. Okay, so here we have the subject pronouns, and here we have the verb to be. And it is the negative form of the past continuous, as you can see. So here we have inserted not to form this negative form. Okay, so I wasn't, which is the short form, or you can say I was not, which is the full form. Okay, so I, she, he, it wasn't, okay, working plus the last part of the structure, which is the gerund form of the verb. Okay, so she wasn't or she was not, he wasn't or he was not, it wasn't or it was not working. Okay, and for you and they, we have to use were not. You were not working, we were not working, they were not working. Okay, so subject pronoun plus the verb to be plus not plus the gerund form. Let's take the last form, which is the interrogative form, and you know that the interrogative form is mainly used to make questions, and here it is the question form or the interrogative form. Okay, so you know that with all the tenses, if you want to use the interrogative form, you have to make the inversion of the subject. So here the verb to be comes first and the subject pronoun comes second. So we start with the verb to be, then we add the subject pronoun, and last we add the gerund form of the verb. So was I working? Sometimes if you ask yourself, okay, was I working? Was she working? Was he working? Was it working? Okay, or were you working? Were we working? Were they working? Okay, let's see some of answers if you are using the interrogative form. For example, if you ask somebody, okay, was he working? You can say, yes, he was, or no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. For example, let's take another question. For example, were we working? Yes, we were. Yes, we were. Or you can give the complete statement by say, yes, we were working, or no, we were not working. Okay? Another question, for example, was it? Okay, was it working? Okay, you're talking about a TV, for example. Was it working? Yes, it was, or no, it wasn't. Now, let's take some examples and let's practice with them so that we can understand well. So here, as you can see, we have a statement. When I phoned my friends, they play chess. Okay, so here as you can see, we have a short action, which is phoning, and another action, which is playing. So it seems that the second action is a long action. So what can you say here? So the best answer is, when I phoned my friends, they were playing chess. So with the second action, which is, of course, a long action, we have used subject plus were plus the wing of the verb. Yesterday at 6, here as you can see, we have a very specific time at the past, but the action that we have, it's not a short action, it is a long action in the past. That's why we have to use the past continuous. Okay, so the best answer, yes, it is, yesterday at 6, I was preparing dinner. Okay, let's take another example. The kids play in the garden when it suddenly began to rain. So here, as you can see, we have play and we have began to rain. So the first action in the sentence or in the statement is a long action, but the second action, it's not a long action, it is just a short action. So the second action is already used or conjugated in the past simple, of course, because it is a short action. And here we have a long action, so the answer should be, of course, the kids were playing. Okay, so the subject, which is the kids, and we have were, which is the past simple of the verb to be, and playing, which is the gerund form. Okay, you study at 3 o'clock. So here also we have a very specific time in the past, but we have the verb study. The verb study shows a long action, so that's why we have to say, yes, it is, you were studying at 3 o'clock. Okay, another example, the verb is to watch TV at 3 o'clock. Here also we have a very specific time, as you can see, and the verb is to watch, and this verb or this action, which is watching, is a long action. It is not a short action. That's why we have to use the past continuous. So we have to say, yes, it is, we were watching TV at 3 o'clock. Let's take another example. The verb is to revise my lessons when electricity went off. A short action and a long action. The long action is revising lessons, and the short action is that the electricity went off. Okay, here we have went, which is the past simple of the verb to go, and the verb to go is an irregular verb. That's why we have to use this special form. Here we have a long action in the past, so we have to use the past continuous, as you can see. Yes, it is, I was revising, long action, I was revising my lessons when electricity went off. Another example, the dogs play not. So here pay attention, we have negative form outside when the murder happened. Here you have a long action, but we have not, which means that we have to use the negative form. So the long action with the negative form of the past continuous, okay, it is the dogs were not, it is the short form of weren't playing outside when the murder happened. The last example that we have here, as you can see, the form that we have is the interrogative form or the question form. It means that we have to make the inversion of the subject. As you can see here, the verb is to play, and this verb shows a long action, which is playing. So what should you say? We should say, okay, yes, the answer is, were they playing football when it was raining? Okay, were or were they playing football when it was raining? So this is the best answer. Here we have made the inversion of the subject, as you can see. So the verb to be, okay, the verb to be comes first, and here we have a subject plus the gerund form. Thank you for watching, and see you.